Hello, fourth grade historians. I am Mrs. Lamondo, and I'm here to start our next social studies unit all about the history of immigration, specifically through Ellis Island with you. So I can't wait. Let's get started. All right, let's start with a little background information. This is immigration coming to America. So why do we study immigration? The study of United States history is important in helping citizens understand and appreciate the legacy of our republic and to develop the empathy and analytical skills needed to participate intelligently and responsibly in our ongoing democratic experiment. Historical study exposes students to the enduring themes and issues of our past and emboldens them to courageously and compassionately meet the contemporary challenges they will face as individuals in a state, a country, and an interdependent world. Ultimately, the study of history will help students plan and implement responsible actions that support and enhance our collective values. And there are unit standards, but I'm not going to spend our time going through them, but there they are. All right, so our first lesson is a North American history overview. So let's start out talking about Pangea. You'll notice it's spelled two different ways. When we talk about Pangea, you often see it spelled either way, so I want you to know that both ways are okay. Looking at a globe reveals coincidences that are difficult to ignore. The eastern coast of South America seems to fit perfectly, almost like a puzzle, into the western coast of Africa. At the same time, North America can be rotated slightly and made to fit comfortably next to Europe and Asia. These clues have led geologists and other scientists to examine the relationships of other clues. Ancient fossil records show that the same plants and animals lived along the eastern coast of South America, as did the western coast of Africa, as did other plants and animals along the coast of North America and Europe. So geologists and scientists are finding there's all these plants on these different continents, but these continents are quite different. So how do they have similar vegetation? With this overwhelming evidence, it became clear that at some point many millions of years ago, these continents must have in fact been connected. Scientists now believe that 250 million years ago, a supercontinent known as Pangea existed. This supercontinent was made up of all the continents on Earth. Over time, these continents have broken apart and slowly drifted away from one another. This drift continues today, so that the form the Earth takes today is not by any means the final shape of our Earth. Understanding Pangea helps us understand how our first immigrants migrated across the land. So we know from our unit on geography that there are 7 continents. However, we also know that there used to be one giant landmass on Earth instead of 7 separate ones, and that was called Pangea. So let's take a look at this video. It's a little bit old, but the information is great. And also it gives us a really clear image of what our Earth used to look like.
It's not always easy to see the Earth's crust. It is covered by vegetation and oceans. But if you could drain the Earth's oceans and strip away our planet's vegetation, the Earth might look something like this. Now we can see the Earth's hard outer shell. And if you look closely, you can also see where the shell is cracked. The red glowing lines mark the places where the Earth's shell is cracked into small and large pieces called tectonic plates. Each plate carries a continent, or an ocean basin, or sometimes both. The plates are moving 1 to 2 inches a year in different directions, carrying continents and ocean basins with them. Millions of years ago, the Earth looked something like this, every continent in a different position. They were so close together, they formed a single supercontinent called Pangea. But even then, the continents were moving a few inches a year and kept moving until they reached their present-day positions. The theory that continents move is called continental drift. When you look at a globe today, you are looking at only a moment in time because the continents are still moving. inches a year, too slow to see as they move farther and farther apart. Then the continents will stop moving apart. They will change directions, coming together once again. Millions of years from now, scientists expect the world to look entirely different. Every continent in a new position, carried there by the moving plates. While we can't see this movement occurring, we can see the effects.
So although the video caught off there, what they went on to explain was things like global warming have had a disastrous effect on our entire world. All right. So just a couple things to keep in mind as we move forward. An immigrant is a person who comes to live in a country from another place. An ancestor is an early family member, so way further back on your family tree. So our parents are not ancestors. Our grandparents are not ancestors. However, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, and further back are considered ancestors. And also an isthmus. Here's a picture of an isthmus. An isthmus is a narrow strip of land with ocean on either side connecting two land masses. It's going to be important to understand what an isthmus is as we move into the next slide. So let's talk about the earliest immigrants. The first people to live in what would become the United States were the American Indians or Native Americans. Thousands of years ago, an isthmus joined Asia to North America. So there was a land bridge, a narrow strip of land, just as we saw. An isthmus is a narrow piece of land that connects two larger land areas. Some people believe that the Indians' ancestors walked across the isthmus from Asia. They were following herds of animals which they hunted for food. Eventually, the Indians settled all over the Americas. So geologists and scientists believe that really humankind was in Asia and then followed animals and migrated outwards from there. People reached North America from Europe and Asia much later than the Indians. So about 1,000 years ago, Vikings came here. The Vikings came to where we live, but they didn't create any permanent settlements. They didn't stay here. In 1492, we know that Columbus tried to reach China, but landed in the Americas instead. In the 1700s, Europeans looking for a better life came to America and took the land from the American Indians. We know that the British came and colonized America and sent people here to live. And then a very dark period of time in American history was the 17 to 1800s. That's when we had slavery from Africa or forced immigration. Now, when we're talking about enslaved people, we're talking about people who were taken from their homes and forced to come to America in deplorable conditions. Deplorable means really, really, really bad conditions. These people were then sold and forced to work for no money. Enslaved people are a large part of our American history and a very dark spot in American history. Slavery means making one person the property of another person. Let's talk a little bit about customs. A custom is a way of doing things. Shaking hands when you meet someone is a custom. Waving goodbye when you leave is another. Many American customs came from other places. Do you trick people on April Fool's Day? English settlers brought this custom to America. Do you color eggs at Easter? Immigrants from Ukraine, Russia, and Poland brought this custom to America. Immigrants also brought holidays with them, such as St. Patrick's Day and Chinese New Year. They brought new ways of doing things. They brought different kinds of music and dance too. Even the languages that most Americans speak are from other countries. And the last thing that we're going to look at today is culture before we pause. More than 500,000 newcomers, that's more than 500,000 people, enter the United States in most years. These people belong to an ethnic group. An ethnic group is a group made up of people from the same country, people of the same race, or people with a common way of life. Every ethnic group has its own way of life or culture. The culture of a group is made up of its customs or beliefs. A culture includes language, religion, art, music, clothing, food, games, and holidays. Each ethnic group has brought some of its culture to the United States. That's where we're going to pause for today. Next time I see you, we are going to see a fun video with cultures from all around the world. Then we're going to review some of the vocabulary words that we discussed today before doing a Google form next time I see you. All right, fourth grade historians, that's all for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.